Hi guys, back at the gym. I'm going to do a second session today. I had a cat nap, so that's why my eyes look like this, to be fair. I didn't even go to bed that late, although I do get up early every day now, so maybe that's the thing. But what I'm finding is it maybe my energy's dropping because my calorie intake's dropped, so I'm in a deficit. But at the same time, hitting the gym regularly, going for walks regularly. So even if I'm a bit tired for the gym, I'll still go for a walk in the park afterwards as well. Um, but I thought I'd do this instead of the podcast simply because I'm probably going to be tired when I get out of here. But I wanted to talk about just to stop giving up about stuff. A lot of the stuff we got out there now is trying to bait us one way or the other. Either the left, either the right, the all the crap that's going on in the UK that's in our face, they're pretending that's happening. The problems in Birmingham with the bankrupt council and the socialists up there that have always had problems. I'm not interested. I'm really not. And most of these problems, they're going to make us them ours anyway at some point. But I don't want to hear them. I really don't. I think that's the best way to cut through it, is just focus on your own stuff. So like today, I've done a bit on my fitness, done a bit with meeting up with somebody early this morning to talk about some business plans. This evening, going to sit and read some books. I'm not too invested in what's going on around me anymore. It's not like I'm shutting it down because, oh, I can't deal with stress, anxiety. It's none of that crap. It's literally, it's just a waste of time. There's nothing that's positive out of it. So even when you're watching things like Lotus Eaters or say Katie Hopkins or Fast Jet or a lot of these channels that are pointing out the obvious, what's it, Dino Bane is another one I've seen recently. They're pointing out what's in front of us on a regular basis, but we can already see it. So investing our time in this stuff, is it going to make that much difference? The answer is no, because they're not giving solutions to the problem. They're just talking about the stuff that's a problem. Well, I know it's a bloody problem. And my view on most things, if you can't fix the problem, don't bring it up unless it's going to be critical in the sense of the pilot's had a heart attack and there's nobody to fly the plane. At that point, I'd want to know. but if you're talking about Angela Rayner having no education or whatever, well, I think it's pretty obvious every time she opens her mouth. I don't need to be told. So yeah, it's a lot of it is just not caring and just switching off from it. I mean, often work in toxic environments, but when you switch off and stop caring, there's very little that people can do because you just go, well, I'll do my job, leave us alone. And I've seen people talking about this thing where they're just doing the work that's required. And I've got to admit, that is a great way of working. I do it. They'll go, oh, there's Easter eggs. I'm not interested. I don't want an Easter egg. I'm not 12. I just want to do my job, go home. If you want something, just ask. But I'm not going to invest my spare time as if we're a family, because we're not. This is the job. This is a job where there's no career growth, no opportunities. So it's a job. It's like almost like clock in, clock out. So even though I'm at a senior level, it's not an opportunity, it's a job. So I look at that from a business sense like that. So what do I focus on? I focus on the college course. I focus on developing ideas. I focus on family time. I focus on everything but work, which is a major difference for me because I'm used to working 24/7 to make the business work, and now I'm not, which has made a massive difference to my life. And I recommend doing the exact same, because you'll suddenly get the people going, oh, John's changed. John used to be all, helpful, and I could ring him at 7 o'clock at night. Now he doesn't answer the phone to me till the following day, and just says, "Oh, I was busy yesterday. If you needed something, ring before 5 when I'm still in work." Because once you make that change, you own your time. Because we are burning through the one candle of our life on a regular basis, and we can't get that time back. The same is, do not put things off. I was just having this conversation with my wife saying I'm coming home soon because I know this thing here has got its MOT, but I've spent a lot of time on sites and stuff in the last month, so I've got some justification to go home because I've been in Northampton, I've been in London, I've just been carrying on my work, getting the work done. So as far as I'm concerned, when I originally took the job on, I agreed this, and I've got enough paperwork to keep me going for another month from Spain. My point being is, don't let people control your life, otherwise they will. Don't put things off, because you'll keep putting them off and your time will run out. If you haven't travelled, I recommend travelling, because I think this old bloody Davos stuff is trying to take over the planet at the moment. And I wasn't one for conspiracy theories, but then you see all these twats at the WEF, Tony Blair and all the other crooked, David Lammy and all of the pigs in the trough. It all becomes a pattern. Now, it doesn't mean they're all working together as collaboratively, because what you've got to understand is it often doesn't need to be down that route. If you are working in the same mentality, the same ideologies, you can end up down the same path. It's like if you go to Birmingham University to study car designs and things like that, you start to see why cars look the same, because you start going down the route of aerodynamics and mathematics. And although a lot of these ideologies these people have got aren't mathematically sound, but the point being is, if they're all studying in the same space, you come out with the same thought patterns and end up on the same path. And I think that's probably more realistic than thinking they're all pledging allegiance in some weird cult type way. I mean, let's face it, nearly all of them, from my perspective, I see as self-serving parasites. But we can't control that. We can't control these things at the moment. What we need to do is just focus on what we can change, what we can do, and those are all about us personally and what we can do for ourselves. And part of that, educate yourself, get yourself some trade skills. If you're struggling to work, get yourself a trade skill. I'll tell you now, there's a shortage. There's a shortage in so many areas. And one of the things I will say is work for yourself. I look at it from a facilities management point of view, right? So I get a Joe Bloggs engineer, right? An engineer that's on the books. They're like £30,000-40,000 a year. I ain't gonna do the maths off the top of my head today because, like I said, I haven't long woke up. But if you take into account, a lot of them can't do much. They can change a light bulb, might be able to fix a toilet or unblock a toilet, but they're not skilled engineers. But a skilled engineer, you're talking £400 a day. So what's that? 400, 800, so 1,600, £2,000 a week. So that's £8,000 a month. That's 80. See, like I say, I'm tired. So it's 80. So 96,000 a year. From 30 to 40 to 96,000 a year. That's the difference between working for a firm and working for yourself. Me, on the books, I'm about close to the 90 mark at the minute, but once I go freelance, it will go 120 upwards. And this was conversations today about how do we make this happen, and in a bigger piece, because I'm not looking at me working flat out. I'm looking at me having a a lot of stuff going on that will work in a different direction so I can go home. But the point being is, if you're struggling, get yourself onto a trade school. Get yourself as a carpenter, get yourself as a plumber, get yourself as an electrician. Good one is BMS, Building Management Systems, because Internet of Things, IoT, is a bigger market. It's developing. And if you haven't got those skills or don't want to, get yourself into sales. I know sales is horrible. If you're like me, I detest sales, but it's one of the things that if you haven't got the skills for the other things, sales is something you can learn. It's a parrot fashion. It's regurgitated. You learn to switch. You've just got to practice. It's all persona. It's all sales technique. And the good thing is, all the stuff's already out there. And I don't know if I should say this or not, but a lot of the stuff should be available on sites that normally operate with torrents. Because I know some of you guys may not be liquid with cash. So the opportunities to learn may have other ways of finding the materials to help you along through audio books, through reading. I recommend both, simply because audio books, if you've got the right people doing it, they can teach you the tone, the pitches, the way to do it. And the reading will teach you things like how to work scripts and improve your sales scripts. Now, like I said, I hate doing it, but I've done it and I know I can make good money at it, and I have made good money at it. I just don't like doing it. But if you want to get on in life, you've got to take every opportunity that you can. The world's changing around us and nobody's coming to help us. We need to help each other. And I do recommend getting in on the Discord. You can throw stuff in there. I may not respond straight away, maybe a couple of days, depending how busy I am, if I'm tired. But the good thing about the Discord is it opens up the conversation piece, because it's not just what we're talking about now. You can start discussing something else and we can just open it up to the bigger forum. All I will say in the Discord group is have a bit of courtesy for each other. I'm not interested in people attacking each other and all that stuff. It's like, just grow up, guys. You know, I know most of you guys are fine, but I'm not interested in people trolling. I'm not interested in people going, well, hi this, hi that. And it's like, look, it's not an argument. It's not a debate. If you find something that works well, present it as, I find this works well for me. Because the whole concept is to help each other. I think that's it in a nutshell. Yeah, maybe I'll do another one on the way back about the dating scene. Because I've been listening to Legion of Men lately, and there's been a few golden nuggets amongst that stuff. Because I get the guy that runs the Legion of Men YouTube channel and whatever else is on, because although our perspectives are not 100% aligned, I can understand where his perspective is coming from. So it's not a case of he's right or wrong. It's a case of, like most things in life, we can have more than one perspective. The key to it is actually respecting that we have differences. And most of the stuff he does talk about does point a direction. And I think that's key for most things. And this is why I do this channel, is to give some direction. I'm not going to give all the answers because I am not the Messiah. But what I want to do is just give people some direction on where to go next. And I know we were discussing pensions on the Discord recently, and the risks around pensions at the moment, because we're suffering with the snake eating itself. Because a lot of our pension funds are buying up properties in the same way when people vandalize the Teslas. A lot of your pension funds are in the stock markets, which means the damage done to Tesla damages stocks and shares, which damages people's pension funds. in the UK, there's a lot of funds buying up properties. So let's just say I'm Joe the builder. I'm building 3,000 houses in Northampton. Bang, BlackRock, Vanguard, whoever comes in, says I'll buy the lot off plan. I'll take the lot. That means that in the area, that's 3,000 houses that are unavailable to the local population, because those houses are not going up for sale. Those houses are going to go out for rent. So you're creating a false demand. Why? Well, there's less houses on the market because they're taking them as they're hitting the market. So you create inflation. But you go, oh yeah, but people are going to rent. Yeah, there's a rent demand, but there's also a house buyer's demand. And if you're taking the houses off the market before they hit the market, it's not going to help the market reduce by there being excess houses, is there? And this is, like I says, this is a knock-on effect where the snake is starting to eat itself, because what you're getting is a house is getting to the point where a lot of people are recognizing they're never going to be able to own a home. So why bother working? I would never be in that mindset myself. My mindset is, okay, stick to the room in Northampton. Yeah, I was just doing this the other way around. I go, right, I'll stick to the room in Northampton, stack the cash, and buy in Spain. Oh, look, that's exactly what I did. The properties, it's a false entity, because the properties are only worth something for what the people are willing to pay. But because we're getting to a point now where younger generations are realizing, I'm never going to own a home, or I'm not interested anymore, they're going to stay at home. They're not going to invest in property. We're flooding in people that will probably just be on the benefit system. So they're going to be economic migrants, in the sense of not working economic migrants, but benefit migrants. So they're going to live off the back of anybody that's working, which will get less people actually interested in working and make the economy worse. Which also means that the money that's in the system and tied in with the pension funds and locked into the properties, although these rents are all going up and up and up, it's getting to a point where there's less and less people that can afford it. This is why you've got the rise of the HMOs, the house of multiple occupancy. But that must be hitting the glass ceiling as well, because they don't have the same requirements for the local authority to do with waste management and stuff, unless something's changed recently. But they don't pay the same taxes as a private owner. So there's a lot of other stuff in there that's just damaging, and it's damaging individuals. And long term, that could impact our pensions. And this is what I was sort of chatting yesterday on the Discord, because my view is, how do you secure against that? And the answer is having skills that you can take with you and can use all the time. You know, the reality is, being able to wire a house, it's a skill. Being able to be a carpenter, a cabinet maker, trained on BMS, trained on Internet of Things, trained on air conditioning, servicing of vehicles, because although they're all pushing the electric car, let's face it, an electric car costs a stupid amount of money. And China seems to be pumping a lot of cars that have got a habit of exploding lately. So the reality is, having those skills, I'm sort of in the mindset, I've got money there, get my mortgage paid. That means the government's got less control over me. If I get ripped off on my pension, I've got the skills to keep me going long term. And it's a horrible situation you have to be in, but I think we have to have a bit of reality in there. We need to build a way to generate our own revenues for the long term. Because, I mean, I'm quite lucky in the sense I've got kids that are getting older, so we can develop stuff as a family unit. And I don't think, everything's sort of like, oh, it'll all end up owned by corporations. I think they've done so much damage now Anybody with half a brain wants to buy anything from anywhere but a corporation. I've got to admit, I'm buying less and less on Amazon. I don't like Bezos. I don't like the way they treat people. I don't like the way they treat small businesses either. So I'm moving away from them completely. And there's often the prices are cheaper elsewhere as well. But anyway, guys, I'm going to go into the gym. I've been sat here trying to do this video for about an hour probably. So there's been lots of people wondering what I'm doing sat in the car talking to myself. But have a good weekend. Enjoy the bank holiday. I might do another video tomorrow. It depends if I've got something to talk about. All right. Take care.